As we have seen in The Mandalorian Season 3, Chapter 18, the opening speaks of Boonta Eve. For those of you who don't know about Boonta Eve, Boonta's Eve was said to derive from Boonta the Hutt's speech to his kin, loyal retainers and favoured slaves, the night before the third battle of Vontor. Boonta proclaimed that he would sooner die than live under the rule of humans like Zim the Despot. In the ensuing battle, the Hutts were victorious, and the anniversary of Boonta's speech was celebrated as a Hutt holiday, where slaves renewed their vows of obeisance. In return, they were rewarded with a feast and gifts from their masters. The holiday was celebrated on various Hutt-dominated planets, including Kovari, Arami, and Tatooine, with the organizing of various racing sports, including pod racing. This was said by the Hutts to derive from the practice of forcing Taiwanese prisoners taken at Vontor to run while the Hutts wagered on the results. The stragglers in each heat would be put to death until a sole survivor was proclaimed the winner. On Tatooine, the festival is observed by mainly in parts of Mos Espa, most notably with the Boonta Eve Classic. The night of the event was sometimes the target of hoodlums aligned with Lady Valerian, who robbed the elderly and mugged people who ventured outdoors. Such gangs were based out of town and were sometimes nicknamed the Boonta Eve Bandits. The Boonta Eve Classic was the largest annual pod race in the galaxy, held on the planet of Tatooine. It was hosted by the Hutts to commemorate the Boonta Eve's holiday, located just outside Mos Espa. The Boonta race course started with Mos Espa Grand Arena. There, thousands of spectators could congregate, hoping to see their favorite racer win, to catch a glimpse of a spectacular collision, or to win a fortune gambling on the race's outcome. The formal race ceremony started with a parade of flag bearers. Each carried the racer's distinctive emblem, lined up before the starting grid. Once the bearers cleared the grid, the pod racers' massive engines would roar to life, seemingly anxious at the chance to soar at speeds exceeding 700 kilometers per hour. The Mos Espa course mostly turned around Ben's Mesa. It blazed out of the arena onto the Starlight Flats, an easy stretch of desert where aggressive pod racers jockeyed for strong starting positions. The racers had to line up on single file to enter the curving canyon that cuts through the walled-off flats. This opened up to Mushroom Mesa, a rocky expanse dominated by immense bulbous rocks formations. Meta Drop, a sudden escarpment, dropped the racers into Ebb Crater Valley, where they again had to navigate the narrow opening to enter Beggar's Canyon. The race then continued onto a length of desert plains abutting the Dune Sea, one of the most hazardous areas. Arch Canyon forced pilots to maneuver through stone wickets before entering another series of canyons, including the Whip, Jagcrag Gorge, and the subterranean Laguna Caves. Emerging from the caves, the pilots careened through the tight canyon dune turn, known to be campsite for vengeful sand people. Pod racers that survived pot shots from the sand people then had to dodge the rocky obstacles in Bindi Bend before entering the last stretch of canyon, which included the Coil, Jet's Chute, and the Corkscrew. Exiting the Corkscrew via the Devil's Doorknob, the pilots emerged onto the Hutt Flats, a broad, featureless expanse that led back to the arena. This entire circuit represented one lap, and Boonta Eve Classic requires 3 laps for completion, with the average time of 5 minutes 20 seconds for each lap. Commentaries were made by Budesen Bede, a popular commentator in the sport.